So hey everyone, welcome to another video. In our previous video we learned how to create a server in Node.js with the help of either the inbuilt HTTP module or the Express framework. In this video we will learn some of the HTTP request methods like get and post requests. But before we start, you might wonder what is a get request. Let's say you type something in your browser. Your browser is like a client which sends a get request to the server to get data of whatever it is. For example, here it is your search query. It might contact another server or a database to retrieve that info, and once it gets the information and it processes the data, it then sends the response to your browser, which is the client. And that's how a HTTP protocol works. And the request of getting information is like what is called a get request. But then what is a post request? Well, get post request is similar to get request. The only difference is that you are not trying to get data, but you are trying to send data. We are going to mainly use post request with forms or when you are collecting data from the user. So let's open our VS Code. What we are going to do today is we are going to write code which going to handle this get request and post request. So previously we created this server. We created the server using the HTTP inbuilt module. We are getting a request and response in the argument. We are sending a response using response.write, and we are ending this response connection. We are then listening on 3000 port. We have also installed some dependencies. If you go in our package.json, you can see we have installed Express, we have installed nodemon. We have also written some scripts. So if we write npm start, it should run nodemon app.js. Okay, so now let's move to our app. In HTTP we have to know whether it is a get request or post request to handle them. So what we are going to do is we are going to use the request dot method. So it is going to console log the type of request we are receiving from our request body. So what we are going to do is we are going to start our server, and our server is ready and listening. So we are going to use postman to send requests. So you can download it from the official postman site. So let's open postman, and first we will send a get request. So let's type our URL. So it is running on 3000 port, and okay, let's remove this pop-up and let's send a get request. And actually we have made an error in the URL. Instead of slash, it should be a colon, and then we can send it, and our server is sending us a response. And here in the terminal we have logged out that it is a get request that we are receiving. So if we change the request method to post and let's send it again, we are receiving that it is a post request. So let's use if else to handle different type of requests. So we are going to use the request method again, and let's first do it for the get request. Let's remove this terminal, and if it is a get request, then we are just going to send a response. Here we got a get request. We are going to use the write method because get requests are mostly on your home page, and we have to also end this response connection. Okay, done. And let's write for post request. For post request again, so we are going to use a else if statement and check if the request method is a post request. And then what we are going to do is we are going to send a response that hey, we got a post request, and the data we got, we are also going to send that. So let's define data as an empty string, and we are going to use a event listener method. So we are going to use request.on, and it is going to listen for the event data. So when data is being transmitted, this event will be triggered, and it will use the callback function, and the callback function will obviously have data in its argument. And we are going to okay, let's change it to body so we don't confuse our variable names. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to concatenate that data to our body variable, and so basically we are storing it in our body variable. And instead of sending directly a response, we are going to use request.on method again, and this time we are going to listen for the event end. So this event is going to be triggered when all the data has been received from the client, and it is going to use this callback function, and we are going to send a response, and we are also going to end the response. So what we are going to do is we are going to write we received a post request with the data, and we are going to send our body variable. We are going to use a body variable to send the data. So what we are doing is we are checking if it is a get request or a post request. If it is just a get request, we are just sending a response, and if it is a post request, we are first receiving the data, we are storing the data in our body variable, and then we are concatenating it, because data transmission is continuous and it takes time. And here, instead of hey everyone, let's write neither get nor post request was received. Okay, so done, and let's send a get request, and we are getting the response and it's working. So we are going to change the method. We are going to send a post request, and in the body we are going to say some raw data. Let's send some raw data, and it should be in the format of text. This is a paragraph. Okay, let's just write anything and let's send it, and actually it's not working, so we have some errors, and I think it's a very small code, so it should work. And okay, so here's the thing that so what we're going to do is we are going to use an else statement, because the post request can take time and we are directly sending the response here outside the if else statement, so we should be sending the response inside it. So it's a scope issue and it's working now. So we are receiving a response along with the data, and that's how you handle a get or post request in HTTP. But what are you going to do if it's related to let's say the URL? So what we can just do is just log out request.url. so this will give us the URL that we are receiving from the request. So let's just send a post request, and if we open our terminal, you can see the slash, so that's the root URL. So it's basically just a slash, but if we write something like Khalid, which is my name, and against okay, actually I forgot to send it, so let's just go on postman and send it again. And so we are receiving the URL. So based on the URL we can perform the actions of a get or post request. So instead of request method, we are going to use request.url, and instead of get, we are going to check if it's for a home page or if it's from a form or route like /submit. So basically when it is a get request, it's mostly on home pages, and /submit is for a form or something like that. So let's test it, and it's working. So that's how you can handle for URLs. So whatever we did in HTTP, we can do the same in Express.js, and it's quite a lot easier. So to install Express, you can just open your terminal and install it via the npm package using npm install Express. We have already installed it, so we don't need it right now. So just cut out the terminal and let's move to our app. So here, instead of HTTP, we are going to import the external Express framework using const express is equals to require express. So we are using the require method here, and what we're going to do is we are going to create an instance of our Express application using the express function, and here we will just comment out the entire code here. And now in Express, you can just directly use the .get method, and we can also define our route URL here, and for that specific URL we can define a callback function. It will have a response and request in the argument, and we are just going to send a response using the .send method, and we are going to write here this is a get request. Similarly, for post request we can use dot post method, and again we can define our route URL, which will be /submit, and we will have a callback function triggered, which will have the request and response in the argument, and we will send a response again using the send method. We received a post request with the data. We can access the data from the request body, but before we send it we have to convert it into a string. So we are going to use json.stringify function, and inside that we will handle request dot body. But there is another thing we need to do, is we are going to use a middleware. Now you might be wondering what is a middleware. We will discuss in our future videos. So we are going to use app.use method. So what it is going to do is, whenever we are receiving any sort of text, it is going to send it to request.body. So we are going to use express.text function. And another thing we need to do is here instead of server it should be app.listen. And for middleware, remember it's actually basically a function that is executed between request and response, and obviously we will use it in future videos. So I will tell you how to use middlewares and all that. Okay, so now we are handling any post request made to /submit and get request just /. So now we can just go to postman and send a post request to /submit, and it should work. We also have a body here that this is a paragraph, and as you can see it's working. It's also sending the data back. Okay, now let's remove /submit and see if it's working. It shouldn't work because we have defined a URL, and as you can see it's not working. And finally what we can do is just check also for get request. One thing you can notice that the code in Express.js is a lot of abstraction, so you don't have to write as much code as you have written for basic HTTP modules. Okay, so that's it from this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any doubts or queries, you can put it in the comments. Our next videos will be on HTTP, more HTTP methods, and also on how to handle middlewares in Node.js. So meet you in the next video. Till then, keep coding.